Levi Leipheimer greets his fans as he prepares now to defend his lead in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. His lead just 11 seconds over Christian van der Velde. That's next.
That's where we went wrong.
With the field electrified by a sprint, Elia Viviani surged across the line to capture stage 4. Now, with just 2 days remaining, intensity continues to escalate quickly across Colorado. Levi Leipheimer still carries the lead, but will need to summon a swift pace as eager countrymen continue to make their run towards the front. A 100-mile dash from Steamboat Springs to Breckenridge. Stage 5 of the US Pro Cycling Challenge is next. It's the penultimate day of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. It couldn't be more finely poised. This is the Smashburger Stage 5 as we go 105.8 miles from Steamboat Springs to Breckenridge. And this is a town with a very high elevation. The fans along the way are ready. And as the riders make their way towards us, the sun is blue skies. But when they come to the town of Breckenridge, they might find the rain has joined them. And already we have a big race on our hands. This could be the race finish for a sprinter. But the breakaway at the moment, who are clear, may have other ideas. And as you can probably see, everybody, the rain has started to come down. Hello, everybody. I'm Phil Liggett, joined by Paul Sherwin. Paul, as we go into this final weekend, it couldn't be more finely poised.
Well, I tell you what, it really is going to be suspense right the way down to Denver, because the first 4 riders are separated by only 21 seconds in the overall standings. And if you want to put that into relativity, that's if we line them up down the finishing line here, the first and the 4th rider would only be separated by 400 yards.
That's right, and our time bonuses on the finish that could make all of the difference again today. Yesterday, the sprinters had their say. Let's have a look at our Road ID ride of the day. This is your pick, and you were with us. It was the stage winner, Elia Viviani.
Well, let's have a look and just see how he got that victory there. You can see he's the 2nd place rider in the lime green outfit there, Phil. He's got his teammate Daniel Oss in front. That's a big rider from Switzerland. He takes him up to the line, and he actually swings off to the right-hand side. And as soon as he swings off to the right-hand side, Viviani comes straight up through the middle. He's got an open road in front of him. It's as if somebody's opened the door to give him a big chance at victory. Then all of a sudden he just dashes for the line. And at this point, yes, there was a little bit of a challenge coming on the right-hand side, but this young man at 22 years of age gets his 5th win of the season.
Yes, and if you want to win a shopping spree, go to roadid.com/ride, and we will see your fan pick tomorrow in our final program. Let's have a look at the Cannondale Stage Facts athlete profile, rather. This is Elia Viviani's 5th win of the year. He's only 22 years of age, and he's a stage winner already in the Tour of Turkey. In fact, that was the last stage race he won until he won yesterday. Let's have a look now at the Quiznos leader of this race, Levi Leipheimer, the first man to successfully defend his overall lead, which he took in the time trial at Vale.
Yeah, but he does know, Phil, that leading up to this weekend, he's going to get serious challenges. He's got Christian van der Velde breathing down his neck. He's got Tommy Danielson not far away either.
And this is how it stands in the United Healthcare overall standings, with 2 days of racing to come. Just 53 seconds covering the top 5. They're all American riders. They all took part in the Tour de France. Van der Velde would love to win a 10-second bonus today. That would put him 1 behind Leipheimer overall. Further down, Paul.
Rafael Infantino, one of the revelations, a Colombian rider, in 6th place. The Tour de France champion of this year, Cadel Evans of Australia, in 7th place. Looking further down, the Australians are up there as well, with 10th place for Rory Sutherland.
Let's have a look now, Paul, at the Radio Shack route. We start with that lovely climb over the aptly named Rabbit Ears Pass. It's another long day in the saddle.
Well, I tell you what, it sets us up today's stage, Phil, for a very rapid start. The riders moving away from Breckenridge, where they finished yesterday, but as they come out of the gun, look at this. As you mentioned, straight uphill from the start, and we already know it's been a very rapid start, with the main field scattered all over the Rockies here. Yes, and then they drop down for a very long and attractive drive along the flat middle part of this course. But then as they get towards the outskirts of Frisco, the organisation have been a little bit nasty because they found a really tough little climb, Phil. Swan Mountain right down towards the end. That could be a leapfrog for somebody to try and steal away the advantage.
You never know, it might be there where TJ Van Garderen makes a move. Let's have a look at the Colorado.com facts. 121 riders are pedaling towards Denver, where we'll finish tomorrow. Of the 130 that set off, 11 of those 17 teams remain intact. Two notable climbs today: Rabbit Ear Pass, which is a second category, and Swan Mountain, which could be a very strategically a good one at the end. Two sprint points along the way at Kremling and at Dillon. So there you're up to date. Well, we'll make you really up to date now. We'll go earlier today, and this is the Honey Milk sign-in here for the yellow jersey of Levi Leipheimer. Big crowd, by the way, again here in Steamboat Springs, bathed in warm sunshine. TJ Van Garderen might be planning something rather special today. He needs just a few seconds to get back his yellow jersey, and a very pensive look on the face here of Levi Leipheimer, feeling very snug in that race leader's yellow jersey. This was the rollout from the start here as we said goodbye to Steamboat Springs. A great welcome there yesterday. And now you know you were in Colorado when we're led out by a horse. And this is the Nissan Leaf electric start. As always, each day we're led out by the electric car there. First attack coming soon after the start. We're on the lower slopes very quickly of the Rabbit Ears Pass. Dennis Van Winden, Paul Mack, Cook, Van Unden and Beltran. Beltran in the white jersey was trying to get up there for the King of the Mountains, but they started to pick him off, and the man who started the counter-attack, none other than Cadell Evans, and it was quite a serious move by Cadell, keeping the tempo high on what is a long steady climb of something like 7 miles, was cracking the field wide open. Cadell was brought back. Peter Stettner setting the pace on the front there, and then another attack by one of the big boys in this race, Andy Schleck, who has lost 6 minutes 59 seconds so far, so he figured the bunch might not come back on him. He started to cut through the breakaway, which was cracking up midway up the climb of Rabbit Ears, and then one by one those that were left in the peloton, and there were only 30 of them, had clawed back Andy Schleck. The attacks now are coming thick and fast. All of the leaders have been wiped out. So Lawrence Ten Dam, helped here by Peter Stettner, was trying now to forge away, and he was going for the King of the Mountains. The big American flag there indicating a tough climb up this mountain, and a lot of people here had actually slept on the mountain overnight, which is only a few miles outside Steamboat. Coming up towards the summit, the breakaway was still clear. Lawrence Ten Dam was on his own as he saw the banner, but he looked over his shoulder, and then he realized he had a problem, because coming through at high speed there was Rafael Montiel. The Colombian rider shot by him to get maximum points on the prize at the top of Rabbit Ears Pass. Lawrence Ten Dam going over in second place there. And then a breakaway, the transitory order over the top. Beltran also nipping in. I didn't see Beltran, I must confess, but so Ten Dam taking third place. Good points there for Beltran, who's challenging for the Nissan King of the Mountains. Soon after that all happened, Lawrence Ten Dam kept going on alone. He was quickly joined by Tom Peterson, Ivan Basso, Andy Schleck and Hanier Acevedo. Now, Hanier Acevedo was a real danger. He's only 2.5 minutes behind Leipheimer, but he had a problem with his back tyre, and he eased off the back, and he gave up. And with him gone, then it was fine, because the brake riders up front, as they came into the Smashburger sprint in Kremling, they didn't want to contest this. They just went over with Peterson going over ahead of Basso, Schleck and Ten Dam, because they've lost the most dangerous man. Into the Honey Stinger feed zone now, and the gap building all of the time. They were over 3 minutes at the feeding point, heading down now towards the Green Mountain reservoirs. We continue our journey towards Breckenridge. So let's have a look what we can expect today. Well, we can expect a little bit of rain, especially at the finishing line where it has been coming and going. The weather's cooled down a bit. It's perfect for a bike race, of course, 65 degrees. Virtually no wind blowing today, and the forecast is overcast. And as we look down at these live pictures at the finish, the rain has stopped now, and it looks very nice as we get, as always, our pictures available in high definition. Let's go out to the live action now. These 4 riders are clear. We've just dipped inside 40 miles from the finish. We've still got Swan Mountain to come. And no doubt the best thing that could possibly have happened was to get Acevedo out of this breakaway and back into the peloton. Steady climbing now as we've been over 9,000 feet. We're climbing back up to it now from Kremling as we head up towards the next sprint at Dillon and Swan Mountain. Back to the peloton, Paul. It looks to me as though we've got a little move here by the Colombian team, Gobernacion.
Well, Gobernacion de Antioquia, they are a very aggressive team, and every time they get a chance to go slightly uphill, they take advantage of trying to ride across and away from the main field. But this is, I don't think, steep enough. In fact, he's just stopping over on the side there for a natural break, or besoin naturel, as they say in French.
Time to move on as we're around the back of the Green Mountain Reservoir here. As you can see, the road not normally as badly surfaced as this, because we're off the highway just now, circumnavigating the back of the reservoir. Pushing up the average speed now. It's gone over 23 miles an hour for the first nearly the first hour of racing today. They were only doing about 15 miles an hour because we were climbing Rabbit Ears Pass. But that's all changed. The field has been splintering all day long. These four boys are really carrying the dream of taking it all the way to Breckenridge. Welcome back. These are our United Healthcare leaders jerseys here today. Yellow on the shoulder of Leipheimer. The points moved yesterday. The Smashburger points to Viviani. The mountain stayed with Pedrazza and the young rider TJ Van Garden. Most aggressive rider who won that jersey, which isn't worn in the race, Vladimir Epakim yesterday. Let's get back onto the road. These are the four leaders. They're still circumnavigating Green Mountain Reservoir. Very shortly we'll be under the shadow of the mountains in front of them, turning to the right. Now Basso is the best placed at 6 minutes 28 behind Leipheimer. The gap is continuing. For the first time though, it's reversed. They've lost 5 seconds of their advantage as we continue now. Steady undulations, but the progression is always up. Just look at the peloton now, Paul. I'm not too sure, but the signal seems to have gone out. 4 minutes is the magic figure they've been thinking of because they've just taken 5 seconds off and it's back to 4.
Well, they're doing a great job, but well organised, well drilled. They are going to match the distance. As I think we said earlier, Phil, they don't really want to catch these four riders. There's no real reason to catch them. And of course, they need to conserve their energy because they still need to defend Levi Leipheimer's overall lead tomorrow. And they need to make sure that they're still there to try and protect Levi Leipheimer on this final climb of the day, because once they go over Swan Mountain is 2 miles or 3 kilometers long.
And as expected, all of the work in the race being done by the team of Leipheimer here, which is Radio Shack. They're having a good tour too. They're winning the team race in the Tour of Spain at the moment, Team Radio Shack, with their team in that event. So they're having a very good opening to that race and a great opening here to this race. It finishes tomorrow and still Leipheimer in yellow. Laurens ten Dam at the back. He's the rider that face planted in the Tour de France coming down an Alpine pass with a spectacular crash. He finished the day, he finished the Tour, and he's obviously kept his Tour de France form because he's been riding very well here at altitude.
Well, he's the man that started this move, Phil, and he's the man that did the best that he could to try and go clear on a number of occasions over the first few kilometers. So too did Andy Schleck, I'd have to say. We're looking at him here in his black and white jersey of Leopard Trek. He, I think, has been astounded by the support that he's had by the American fans here, because not only have the fans been shouting for the American riders, they've really been behind these two brothers, Frank and Andy Schleck.
Yeah, and as he lost his chance really on the road to Aspen to win this race, I think today this was his plan. He attacked twice on Rabbit Ears. The first time they brought him back. The second time they didn't, and he got up to Laurens ten Dam, and then they were quickly joined by Basso, who was also very obvious in his moves on the climb of Rabbit Ears Pass. Cadel Evans tried as well, but he was quickly swept up, and the breakaway was clear of only a small bunch of 30 riders when they started over the top. So as we look here, let's have a look at the yellow jersey, because he's just adjusting his shoes here, Levi Leipheimer. He'll probably just tighten them a little bit. Feet tend to swell in the hot weather. It's cooler today, so it might be feeling they've gone a little bit loose as he goes around the back of Green Mountain Reservoir. We're very shortly going to rejoin the main direct road towards Swan Mountain. So So we've got all the top teammates here of Leipheimer doing their job well now. They know what they've got to do, and that's to keep that breakaway from not getting it much more advantage.
I'm here with Rory Mason from Cannondale Bicycles, the bike sponsor of the Liquigas Cannondale squad. They're in the enviable position to have some input from the riders on their frame development. Take us through the latest one, Roy.
This is the Cannondale Super 6 Evo, our latest model, and our engineers worked quite a ways back on the design side of this. And then what we would do is last year, we would, towards the end of the season, give this bike in various different prototype stages to different riders. And for us, we're searching for a perfect balance of lightweight, super rigid, efficient pedaling, but also being very comfortable. Those are three qualities of a bike that kind of combat with each other. So we want to make sure that not just a rider like Ivan Basso says that it's a great blend of those things, but also a strong rider, let's say Elia Viviani in the sprints, Vincenzo Nibali in the descents, or even some of those strong guys that pull the group. We want to make sure that everybody feels that this is the perfect blend of those ride characteristics.
Well, the results speak for themselves. Thank you very much, Rory.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks, Rory. And there is the bike being driven in the breakaway today by number 51, Ivan Basso, who hurt his hand a little bit on the climb of the Cottonwood Pass the other day, his right wrist, but he seems to have recovered, and he was determined to get into a move today, and it seems so too was Andy Schleck, because they're both up here. This is the biggest name breakaway we have had since this race begun. And Laurens ten Dam, the other star of the Tour de France, there he is, 74 in this breakaway as well. Take a look at Christian van der Velde now, looking very cool. The form, thank you, Christian. Nice to see you smiling and happy. Things going according to plan. He sits in second place. He lost the time trial in Aspen by 58 hundredths of a second. Shook his head when he was chatting with George Hincap. He couldn't believe it. Just over 34 miles, just under 34 miles to go, 54 kilometers. Andy Schleck, who started this breakaway ostensibly when he came up onto Laurens ten Dam back wheel, is doing most of the work, Paul. There's no doubt in my mind Andy has wanted to project himself today, and because he knows really this is the only day. Tomorrow I don't think will be for him.
No, I think theoretically tomorrow should be a day for the sprinters, and the sprinters know that, but they do have to get over a very nasty climb before they head down to the streets of Denver. And there's a lot of work going on at the front and the back end of the main field. You know, there are guys from Garmin-Cervelo. They're moving up and down to take on board drinks for the rest of the team. Ryder Hezerdal is the rider from Garmin-Cervelo who will be dedicated to go back to the team car to keep the guys replenished with drinks.
Stretching out his muscles when we caught a glimpse of him there, but he's gone back up to the field. He's had a bit of a chase, I think, because like a lot of a rider, the tempo up Rabbit he has passed completely shattered the field. I counted 30 riders left as they went into the last 500 meters of the climb. The rest of the peloton were way down the mountain. They've all gradually come back. Far too early in the race for them not to get back, and a long downhill as well. Then running around about the whole way. They're running just over 8,500 feet above sea level. This is a hilly state, Colorado, believe me, and the air is very, very thin. The thing about Breckenridge is that it's one of the highest villages or towns, and well, even just walking around the street, if you're not used to altitude, you are actually gasping for breath.
No, you certainly are, and I think that's the thing that the majority of these riders have battled with. But getting towards the end of the week and the style of racing that we're seeing, you can see a lot of these riders have quickly acclimatized to the height.
Yeah, I think they have, and that's why Schleck's having a go today. So the beauty of the Rockies just in the distance here. It looks like a lovely watercolor, doesn't it? Painted backdrop with a big bike race going in front of them as we head towards Breckenridge. Well, after the riders enjoyed an overnight stay in yesterday's finishing town at Steamboat Springs, they departed this morning from the same town, which boasts the nickname Bike Town, USA. From there, the peloton makes its way to the ski town of Breckenridge. 4 mountain peaks make up the popular resort village, which also has popular dining and shopping, and you can get 1 ski pass to cover all of those 4 peaks. This is a beautiful town, believe me. Back to the action now. They haven't seen all those beautiful pictures yet in this race because they're coursing towards it as fast as they can, because over their shoulder it looks to me as though we have a major thunderstorm brewing, and it's coming towards us because the wind is behind them just now. Steady uphill all of the way now. We get our ups and downs, but basically The trend is all up now, heading for Breckenridge at over 9,500 feet. We're back on the road now, away from the reservoir, which is behind the riders now, off to their right shoulders. We're heading now much more directly towards Breckenridge via Swan Mountain, and the riders are now just getting themselves settled back in. Very often now, Paul, long straight roads. That doesn't favour the breakaway.
No, but you can see now that I think this group is starting to slow down a fraction. We've got all of the guys who are left in Radio Shack riding at the front end of the peloton. They're doing the pacemaking. Lawrence Tendam is a phenomenal rider. He had an awful time in the Tour de France this year, because the Tour de France is an extremely special race. Yes, there were lots of accidents in the Tour de France this year, but the one that Lawrence Tendam had was really extremely dramatic. He was going down one of the big mountains, and he went straight over the top of his handlebars, and he actually landed on his face. He was looked after by the race doctor during the course of the race, and what amazed me, Phil, not only did he manage to get up and finish the stage, he carried on to finish the Tour de France.
He did, and you know, these guys are so brave. They're made of rubber. The last thing in their mind is to stop the bike race. It's just a question of fix me up and let me get going again. Lawrence Tendam will be 31 in November this year. He's had one win this year. It came just after he finished the Tour de France. It was in what we call the post-tour criteriums. It was in Thiel, and he finished 8th in the Tour de Suisse, Tour Switzerland. He opened the season, though, Paul, with 5th in the Santos Tour Down Under in South Australia, and that was the stepping stone which got him his selection for the Tour.
Yeah, he's a very good all-rounder, Lawrence Tendam. As you can see now, he's pretty much concentrated. He's the man who started the breakaway, really. He was very aggressive over the early part of the course, but I suppose that the man who set the fireworks going was Andy Schleck, because amazing thing about Andy Schleck, Phil, at 26 years of age, he's already finished in 2nd place at the Tour de France 3 times.
Yes, and I know one day he still remains hopeful that he will win the Tour de France, which I think he's definitely the people's favourite in France. And he did everything right, but he just couldn't crack Cadel Evans, and he needed more time when he went to that last time trial, didn't he? But he got a good stage win in the mountains as well. He started that well last weekend in yellow. Cadel Evans was off in front of him, but he was just not quick enough for Cadel to keep his yellow jersey. So yeah, you're right, 3 times second in the Tour. One day, let's hope he gets the victory.
Well, bear in mind, Phil, when we talk about that victory of a stage in the Tour de France, he won his stage at the highest stage finish that the Tour de France has ever had in the mountains.
Yeah, on the top of the Col de Galibier, and he's been higher than that now, though, here in this race in the USA Pro Cycling Tour Challenge. There's our horse riders trying to keep up. No chance. So as we still run, Colorado mountains are higher, both left and right of the riders. They themselves riding at just over 8,500 feet just now, heading towards Breckenridge via Swan Mountain today. And there is Cadel Evans. He had a plan at the start of the day. He did try a move, but it didn't work for him. But it appears to have worked so far for Lawrence Tendam, Andy Schleck and Ivan Basso. Welcome back. Today's Stage 5, presented by Smashburger, as we leave Steamboat Springs. Well, we've left Steamboat Springs a long way behind now, as we course in a direct line towards Breckenridge and the finish there today. The clouds so far staying high, but over the shoulder, the thunderstorms are brewing. This is Thomas Peterson here, who is in the breakaway today. He first came to our attention a few years ago now in the Amgen Tour of California, when he won a stage of that event. Now we can go to Bob Roll now, who's down at the start today in our Nissan Innovation, because these teams all have personal chefs, and it's time to have a chat now and see what's being cooked up for the team for Garmin Cervelo.
I'm here with Barb Grealish, the chef of the Garmin Cervelo squad. When I was a professional, you had one choice in food, whatever the hotel served you, usually pretty marginal. But times have changed for the better. One of the most positive innovations in all of cycling is a traveling chef. Barb, take us through your day.
Up early, about 6, eating breakfast for the guys, oatmeal, fresh and organic fruits, and then off to the market to shop for the evening meal, which consists of organic fruits and vegetables. We hit the hotel that we're going to be staying at that night, set up, start cooking. And of course, I don't know if everyone knows, but we have a vegan on staff.
That would be Dave Zabriskie. I think the very first all-vegan rider in the history of bike racing. I mean, I think it's time I made my comeback now that we have personal chefs out on the tour. Thank you very much.
You're welcome to come for dinner.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks.
I bet your life Bob Rowe will accept that invitation. That food looked good enough to eat, didn't it? Well, back with the action. We're looking at Dan Lloyd here. He's on the same team. And Garmin Sabello, there he is. He's an Englishman. Actually, he lives very close to where I live, around the London region. I see him training quite often when he's not out on international duty, stalking the peloton here.
Develop.
Leaders still working and applying themselves well at the moment. Checking out the workload in the last 10 minutes. Tom Peterson doing more than his workload here, 29%. Lawrence Tendam and Schleck doing the same amount. Basso conserving a bit of energy in the last 10 minutes, 21% for him.
Yeah, well, Tom Peterson obviously getting quite excited. We've just mentioned the fact that he did win that stage in the Tour of California a couple of years ago, but also towards the end of that season, he was pretty amazing in the Herald Sun Tour in Australia, because he was the winner of the King of the Mountains competition there.
Yes, and he's a tall boy to be a good climber as well, but he certainly was up for this. He saw the moves and he made sure he was in it today, and it wasn't an easy breakaway to get in. And, you know, when you've got three of the major names in world cycling in it too, Tom has chosen well today. Now we're coming into what will be really the last hour of racing. There'll just be over a little bit more than an hour, I would think, heading up towards the finishing line today. Pushed the average right out now. It started at 13 miles an hour average. It's now out to 24, so they're getting faster and faster. Undulations, yes, but no major climbs until we get to Swan Mountain.
Well, the peloton have actually picked it up quite a bit, because they're doing about 39 kilometers an hour at the moment. As a different team come to the front, United Healthcare. They're obviously thinking about the possibility of Robert Forster, but that climb towards the end might be just a little bit too difficult for him. But Ivan Basso is now starting to threaten the 10th place overall of Rory Sutherland.
Well, as we head up towards the sprint there, which is at Dillon, and then we've got that third category climb of Swan Mountain. Now, once we top out over that mountain, it's at the 97-mile point as we go out towards the finish. And the distance is, so that puts us nearly 9 miles from the finish when we top out at Swan Mountain. So there is a chance, if you only lose a little bit of time on the climb, to rejoin in time to win the race.
Yep, again, Peterson.
Well, Tom Peterson wants this to work for sure. 4 minutes 20 seconds. Basso looking over his face, looking as though he's suffering a little bit here at altitude. Lawrence Tendam doesn't give anything away as he pushes on as they get closer and closer towards the finish today.
You realise it's probably...
Welcome back. Let's have a look at the United Healthcare American standings here, and it's the same as the overall standings, because the 5 Americans have got the top 5 places, and they all rode in the Tour de France this year. Levi Leipheimer is still 11 seconds to the good, 17 TJ, 21 Tommy Danielson, 53 seconds behind is George Hincapie, who's been up as high as second overall in this race so far. Now, the last 26 kilometres, about 16 miles. The average speed has been 42 kilometres an hour, which is about 26.5 miles an hour, something like that. As they are absolutely flying along now as they get these lovely smooth roads here through the state of Colorado, and they're going at high speed. Climbing very, very steadily here, Paul, and many of our viewers probably seen cycle racing for the first time. So let's talk about the pace line, how these boys, even though they're all on rival teams, do help each other.
Well, they have to form an alliance, if you like, in a breakaway group like this. Imagine the wind is coming from the front of the riders into their faces. Well, one guy will set the pace making for a little while, and then once he starts to feel that he's done enough of a pace turn at the front, he'll swing off. The guy behind has actually been conserving his energy up to 25 or 30%, you can say, when riding in the slipstream of the rider in front of you. Once your turn's been done, you slide back that line and you take up position number 4. Let's have a look at Andy Schleck here, because he should be just doing that if he's been listening to my my tactical explanations here. He's obviously got big power here, Phil, because he's doing a very long turn on the front. But you look at the other riders lined up, 2, 3, 4. Now he swings off and he allows then Tom Peterson to come forward. He looks across and he's going to try and slot in 4th place.
He'll just ease off the revs just enough so he smoothly goes past the riders and quickly gets in tight on that back wheel of Basso and out of the wind. It's a working unit, which is a very, very efficient machine.
Until they come down to the last 3 or 4 miles to go, then all of a sudden they're not friends anymore. It's all a question of trying to get yourself the victory. But to stay away from the peloton, you have to work together. You can't hold anything back at all, especially now that they know that it's United Healthcare who are whipping up the pacemaking on the front end of the peloton. They're actually working in exactly the same kind of style. One guy does a long turn for 200-300 meters, swings off and lets his teammates come forward just like this.
Yes, and what we learned there from what we've just seen with Andy Schleck, he did a long high-speed turn there, whereas Peterson came through and did a short one and swung off. Peterson, don't forget, is on the same team as Christian van der Velde, who's second overall in the race. He's not going to he knows if he goes to the finish with these 3 other riders, he's not going to win the day. They're going to take it off him. So he's not going to give all his energy here. He's doing what he has to do, a little bit of work at the front, and then gets out of the way. But Schleck quite clearly wants the break to succeed. He did a very, very long turn. He's at it again, in fact. So he's working very, very hard.
Well, he could be putting in a little bit too much energy because just looking at these 4 riders is really difficult, actually, if this break stays off the front, to pick a winner.
Yeah, well, I guess that is probably very, very true. I would go with Basso or with Andy Schleck, with the possible troublemaker being Lawrence ten Dam. But we'll see. We've got to get to the finish first, and it's still a good hour of racing away from Breckenridge. As the riders continue, the gap is holding now just inside of 4 minutes, so the limit, I think, has been reached by the breakaway. Welcome back. Fun and games at the finishing line in Breckenridge today. The fans around the course are enjoying a big-time bike race in Colorado. It's 35 years, you know, since the Red Zinger was started here, and that led to the Course Classic, and since then, nothing. But they haven't forgotten either. They've had a wonderful week of racing around some pretty nice towns in this beautiful state. Let's have a look at the United Healthcare Stage 5 summary. Today, Kid 11's tried a brute move. It didn't work on Graviteer's Pass. Montiel went over the top first of that climb. 4-man breakaway formed. There was 5, but we got rid of Acevedo. We had a flat tire, we believe. Current gap is 3 minutes 45 seconds. The big names firing in the breakaway, most unusual to see. The reason? Because they've lost a lot of time for one reason or another over this week of racing. So now they've got a chance to repair some of the damage. There's the man who's led this race for 2 days now. He also led it for 1 day earlier on. He lost it in Aspen, but he came back yesterday in Vale in the time trial. So Leipheimer looking good. 11 seconds, you don't feel safe when you lead a race by 11 seconds. You cannot lose your concentration. So as we look at Levi Leipheimer, I wonder how he's feeling about today's stage. Well, we might find out now. Let's go to the start this morning. Bob Roll had a word with him.
A little bit of a lumpy profile leading into the finishing town of Breckenridge, and they have a pretty slim margin over a number of riders. Do you expect some attacks to come from the peloton today?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I spent about an hour on Google Earth last night checking it out. It doesn't look too hard, thankfully, so I'm hoping that the team like Liquid Gas is going to be there and they're going to be interested in another field sprint, but I'm going to have to be extremely attentive in the last 15 kilometers because I need to be right on the wheel.
And there's and there's Swan Neck climb. You especially attentive to that last category 3 on the race course.
Yeah, I know. I looked at it on, like I said, on Google Earth. You know, it doesn't look too difficult, but you never know until you get there. But I'll be heads up for sure.
All right, Levi. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, well, Google Earth looking down, nothing looks very steep, and we don't know what Swan Mountain is like. And it looks so Levi hasn't recce'd that particular mountain. Might be a shock in store. So as we continue with the United Healthcare driving on the peloton now, Paul, we're heading up towards the sprint at Dillon, and then that 3rd category climb. They've only rated it 3rd category. It means it shouldn't be that hard. But do you know anything about Swan Mountain?
Yeah, well, I know for a start there's an awful lot of people there. It's a gradient of around about 5 to 6%, and the reason that it's so important, Phil, is because it's so close to the finishing line. The climb that we had at the start was a much more difficult climb, the climb of Rabbit Ears Pass, but having a climb down towards the end, a lot of riders will seem to try to use that as a leapfrog to try and get away from the peloton.
And still being escorted there by United Health. Well, these are the 4 riders out up front. as they continue to break away. Well, we're talking about Swan Mountain now, so let's have a little fun, guys. At the final corner at the end of Swan Mountain, the descent is a tight corner, by the way, and at 60 miles per hour, an inch of rubber on this corner will test the best bike anglers. Tell us any experiences you have had, and you can do this on Twitter, and it's #SwansNeck is where you go to have a chat, and we can read in and see what you're thinking of Swan Mountain itself. It could be decisive in deciding the final winner of this year's USA Pro Cycling Challenge. All right, well, we'll take another break. The boys from United Healthcare, they have other reasons to race hard at the front today. This man will be very happy that they've taken up the chase. Big effort now to bring it all back together before the finish. Welcome back. Well, for almost a week now, we have been the guest of the Colorado Rocky Mountains here, and it's provided us with some great bike riding, and a lot of people have enjoyed the spectacle of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. And now this breakaway is quality, quality, quality. Ivan Basso, twice a winner of the Tour of Italy, second and third in the Tour de France, with 3 times second in the Tour de France. Andy Schleck, Tom Peterson, also of the Tour winning team Garmin Cervelo this July, and Lawrence ten Dam. These are 4 class bike riders trying to hold off the whole field today, and they're doing a pretty good job right now. It's still 3:30. They're only 18 miles from the finish. They're not more than 9 miles from the top of Swan Mountain now. And if they get over Swan Mountain, and these boys shouldn't be afraid of it, they can climb. This could be a move that could win the day. So as we look at these 4 riders here, the one man who is trying to work out how can he get 11 seconds and lead the Tour. That's Christian van der Velde, and Bob Rowe spoke to him this morning.
Christian, today might present the last opportunity for an attack to get some time back on the Swan Neck climb. Do you have any plans to put in some aggressive riding today?
Yeah, I think the whole peloton's gonna be aggressive today, and that's good for our team. The more aggressive, the better. So, yeah, we're gonna be aggressive out there today.
1 second. If you look at the time bonus, 10 seconds on the line. Is it possible?
Oh, I don't even want to think about it. Then it's gonna be like this whole race all over again. You know, like 1 second, half a second. When lose the whole race by 1 second, that'd be crushing. But you know, I'll take a stage win, obviously, and you know, and anything to get closer to Levi.
And a similar finish in Crested Butte, Levi really lit up the field, and maybe there's an opportunity to do that today also.
Totally. I mean, it's not that easy up there, and it's at high altitude again, and it's just like it falls flat up to Breck. Most people know it. So yeah, it's gonna be a hard day. I mean, yesterday was supposed to be an easy day, and it was still really hard. So we go straight up Rabbit Ears, I believe, from the start, and that's gonna be gnarly. I think 11K, and I think it's one of the hardest climbs of the whole tour.
All right, Christian, best of luck.
Thanks.
Yes, but it's so early on. It was before we joined you in coverage around the world, and I'm afraid we couldn't show you Rabbit Ears Pass, but it was gnarly. It split the field. In the streets of Dillon here now, as we're searching for the second and final sprint, Smashburger sprint today for the points jersey. None of these boys are interested in a mere 3-second time bonus, which is what the winner will get across the line, but it's not going to help a loss of nearly 7 minutes in the case of Andy Schleck.
No, it certainly isn't. Today's about pride, Phil. Today's about saying we're looking at 2nd and 8th overall in the Tour de France. They're number 51 and number 21. These are top guys, and they want to show the American fans and the American public why they're so well known on the European circuit.
Yeah, absolutely right. Just look at this now. 6 riders are on the team here, and the man at the back of those 6 riders is their sprinter, Robert Forster. They're on the outskirts of Dillon, as these 4 riders are in Dillon now, as they continue ever closer towards Swan Mountain. Welcome back to the Coloradan town of Dillon here, the sprint point, those yellow signs just ahead. I don't think we're going to see these boys sprint. They don't need a 3-second time bonus when you're 7 minutes behind. And it's Andy Schleck who is coming through, not being challenged. He gets 3 seconds, so he's now, or is he? Yes, he is, and that was Lawrence ten Dam, followed by Ivan Basso over the line. So Andy now goes from 6:59 behind Leipheimer to 6 minutes and 56. Now look at this. This is the peloton. They're also in the streets of Dillon. and being led here by United Healthcare. Noticeably, though, the red jerseys of BMC have started to intrude now. That's the team of George Hincapie and Cadell Evans. All of the work, as you say, Paul, being done by United Healthcare, and now we've got a little intrusion, and you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Cadell Evans tries a move on Swan Mountain. He too is very proud of his profession and wants to do something here.
Well, he tried on the early part of the race, Phil, and he looked pretty impressive on the slopes of that first climb of the day, Rapid Ears Pass, and he wasn't scared at all about altitude. I think these riders now, Phil, after a good week of racing here in Colorado, they've forgotten about the altitude, because of the kind of speed and the kind of performance that we've been seeing coming along here. They're just the same as we would see at the Tour.
Yeah, absolutely right. And now the interspersing of Team BMC as well. It may be planning a little move to try and give George Hincapie a leg up here. Remember, he's 5th overall in this race. A few seconds time gain for him would move him right up towards a podium finish tomorrow in Denver. It's we restart from the lovely town of Golden tomorrow. What a great name for a town, isn't it? Golden, and we race down to Denver for the grand finish. There's the peloton now. They'll just saunter on through, or they'll race on through, but the time gap is down now, Paul. It's coming up at just on 3 minutes.
Well, for me, Phil, it's not quite coming down quick enough, and it depends how much power that those 4 leaders have got left in their legs, but they are serious contenders, and it's now BMC, as we've said, starting to take an interest in the pacemaking too.
Interesting move, that. There's the Vuvuzelas. They've spread from South Africa to Colorado. As these are out in the country again now, the leaders are backdrop of the Rocky Mountains as they continue towards the next destination of Swan Mountain. See you in a moment. Welcome back. The wide open highway here now as we're bound for Swan Mountain in the distance, and then Breckenridge for the finish. Last 20 kilometers, the average speed of 27.5 miles an hour now, and the output's getting high. 333 watts these boys are pushing out. We're through Dillon. We're heading up to the 3rd category climb of Swan Mountain. It doesn't look like it on our television screens, but these roads grind ever so steadily, elevation after elevation, as we continue now to climb up towards the top. I am absolutely convinced these riders will be just hitting each other with everything they've got soon, because they'll come home if they stay away in ones. They will not come home in a 4-man sprint.
Now and again, you see, despite all of that work, and the workers actually creating some serious damage in the main field. Might just get a chance to have a look over to the right-hand side, by the way. That's the Dillon Reservoir, now known as Lake Dillon, and that's the freshwater reservoir here in Summit County, which actually feeds Denver.
And a lovely view it is too. Our helicopter bringing us that view down below. The peloton is big, but it's certainly not the complete race field today. A lot of guys didn't rejoin after that long climb of Rapid Ears Pass. So they've had a long, lonely ride today around the reservoirs, as the peloton is now absolutely charging along 24 miles an hour. And look at this now, the power output is getting up a little bit, 244, but it's BMC who are driving now, not United Healthcare, and Christian van der Velde's team, Garmin Cervelo, are the next team in line.
Yeah, van der Velde is only looking for 11 seconds on a day like this, and his teammate Tommy Danielson only looking for 21. And van der Velde has got great form this year, for we saw that with that incredible individual time. As he said, he's been battling to get back to the form that he had a couple of years ago. You know, 2009 and 2010, most people have one bad year in their life, and I remember the Queen having an annus horribilis a few years ago. Well, I would say that Christian van der Velde had 2 annus horribilises, and that, I should say, had a horribili, but he had so many accidents in 2009 and 10, and he is now finally starting to bounce back to the Christian van der Velde, who finished 4th overall in the Tour de France.
Yes, he did. Now take a look at Levi Leipheimer. He's rapidly brought up to the leaders there by 2 of his teammates. They're the Radio Shack boys. Colours very similar to Team BMC are also putting their riders up there, because I think they're looking to help George Hincapie here. Hincapie's a big danger still in this race. He lies 5th overall. Everybody's looking for seconds. Who would have thought, Paul, coming to the end of a race as hilly as this, we would still be talking of seconds and who might win the small but time bonuses.
Yeah, we're less than a minute separating the first 5 riders in the overall standings, and we've had a great race on our hands this afternoon. We're swinging around now. There's a lot of big ski resorts in this part of the world as well, some very famous ski resorts as we swing around now to look for Swan Mountain. Ski resorts with names like Copper Mountain, Keystone, and of course where we're finishing here, Breckenridge.
And tomorrow we have the aptly named Lookout Mountain, which is pretty famous here in this part of Colorado. Now we're just about to swing on to the steady climb up Swan Mountain here for the leaders. They're heading around the Lake Dillon. As they're still together, they'll wait to see how the tempo starts on the slopes itself, and then they will start to move on each other, I think, because they've only got about 15 kilometers to go once they top out at the end of Swan Mountain.
We'll stop.
So as these 4 boys continue now towards the base, it's starting a little bit up the road yet, but you can see the road is starting to climb. We're going to take a very short break and then stay with us as we go up on the gentle slopes of Swan Mountain. Will it decide the Tour this weekend?
Cyanide and cherry stem. I can tell you about Lee Erickson. I know all the words to De Colores, and I'm proud to be an American. No handlebars, no handlebars, no handlebars.
Welcome back. Well, there's plenty of handlebars here as we look at the leaders now as they've come on to the climb. The Flowbots, by the way, will be performing live at the finishing line tomorrow in Denver. These are the 4 leaders. They just started the climb moments ago. The gap is still 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If they've got that sort of a gap over the top, then they will win, one of them, when we get to Breckenridge. But you know, there's so much evidence now from the pack. They've lifted the tempo amazingly. Onto the climb itself now. These boys are still working together as we go back to the field, and it's Team HTC. Peter Velits here trying to set the pace. They're trying to launch now TJ Van Garderen from Team HTC, while the men with the blue helmets, they're trying to launch Christian Van der Velde. It's got to happen before the summit.
Well, Garmin now are trying to set the attack up for Christian Van der Velde and or Tommy Danielson. You can start to see these guys. Look at a pain on the rider from Garmin Cervelo here, looking through his shoulders. Also moving forward, the Rabobank riders. They know this is the launch pad today. You need sometimes a little incline like this on the running towards the finish to set a good attack up and split the main field. And when you really have done a good job like Summerhill there, who's in fact just signed up for Garmin Cervelo for next season, you just blow up completely and it goes into reverse gear sometimes.
15 kilometers to go now, 9 miles to the finish for the 4 leaders. Yes, Summerhill there has done enough to impress Jonathan Waters this week that he is a rider with a future as a professional, and so he has signed full papers for the team for next year. Big effort that was, but the 2 boys behind him weren't going to help. Now Garmin have got themselves much better organized now, and Leipheimer knows he's on his own. You can see the little man in the yellow jersey getting in amongst the wheels of his arch rivals.
Well, the one thing that was talked about early on this morning, Phil, in the starting village, was that the best way to beat Levi Leipheimer in this race is to isolate him from his team on this final climb of the day, Swan Mountain. And I keep looking down that line of, well, there's one Radio Shack rider at least, but his teammates did a lot of work in the middle part of this course, and we saw many of them getting dropped when we went through the town of Dillon.
Well, just look at the length of the line. Approximately a half of the peloton left in the race today. The other half some minutes behind, never got together over Rabbit Ears Pass. These boys now are using their domestics, their helpers. Their job is to go to the limit of their ability and then simply get out of the way. But they're trying to hurt the other riders on the squad. These are the leaders now. The wind has got up a little bit now as we head up the mountain.
Oh, Andy Steck's looking for a gap there. He's feeling a little bit twitchy. He knows that the best way for him to win this stage is to attack before he gets to the summit of the climb. On the other hand, you had Ivan Basso trying to set a hard tempo to prevent anybody feeling like they had the ability to attack.
Well, as they look at each other, they haven't split up yet as they go towards the summit. Levi Leipheimer is sitting there in 8th wheel now, surrounded by all of his rivals, his team not with him.
Well, in fact, despite the fact a few moments ago Garmin Cervelo looked as if they were going to dominate the main field, they're down to 2 men on the front end of that pack nowadays, and Levi Leipheimer is just sitting back. He knows, Phil, we've said this a number of times, he knows who he needs to watch, and I really believe he only needs to watch Christian Vande Velde, TJ Van Garderen, and possibly Tommy Danielson.
Well, this is the attack, and this is Vande Velde has tried to make a move, I think. It doesn't look like Christian Vande Velde. It might be Tommy D, who's made a move off the front. They were preparing a platform. It is Tommy Danielson, I think, preparing a platform to make the move.
This is Stettner.
It's Stettner. It's Peter Stettner. You're right. He's tried to go, and they're trying to draw the sting of the likes of Leipheimer and maybe prepare the platform for Christian Vande Velde to go.
That's what he's doing it for. This is the leapfrog, the old 1-2. It's a very well-known tactic. Send one of your teammates off the front of the main field, and then you can aim for him. You catch up to his back wheel, and he can then start to prise open the gap for you. But look at this response. This is coming from Colombia. This looks like the Colombians now are looking for the gap, and Levi Leipheimer knows that immediately. There he is, right onto the wheel. He has to defend on his own. He's got no more mates left.
Alejandro Ramirez and Rafael Montiel, the 2 Colombian top climbers, are the men with the white crash helmets. They have surrounded the American Levi Leipheimer. Vande Velde is the rider in the blue helmet, waiting for the move, and he's got a rider back alongside him now, so this has got to be what's his name?
Ivan Rovny,
the
Russian rider. Ivan Rovny, he's the guy who set it up. He set up the victory on the first road stage of this year's USA Pro Cycling Challenge for Levi Leipheimer, and when it looked like all of Levi Leipheimer's friends had disappeared, he's found a faithful servant.
So Ivan Rovny, who paved the way for him to win a great crested butte, has got control of the peloton. He's got his team captain right tucked into his back wheel. Brilliant riding. Now welcome back to the top of Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France, because that's what it feels like. And the riders have been saying the support has been incredible here as they now welcome the riders to the top of Swan Mountain. Andy Schleck looks as though he's pierced the lead. They've got to chase him. Andy has had to go here, and then they're going to have a death-defying descent down to Breckenridge. Andy's got the gap.
Well, he's got the gap he was looking for. He was looking a little bit frisky, Phil, as he started to get up to the final few kilometers of that climb, and now all of a sudden he's taken the risk to take this race by the horns. 12 kilometers to go. That's 7 miles of racing, and Andy Schleck now is looking to prove to us why he's one of the great bike riders of this sport.
Schleck, who got his stage win on the 18th day of the Tour de France. He got a yellow jersey and lost it on the 20th day of the Tour. Now he's trying to get away to win the stage into Breckenridge. The battle behind Rovny. Vande Velde has got himself in a perfect position behind his young teammate here, holding on as they come over the summit. The gap is closing down pretty rapidly.
Well, they were battling there. You might have just noticed the Colombians were battling there to try and get supremacy in the King of the Mountains classification, and they couldn't even get past Ivan Rovny and Levi Leipheimer. Look at the damage. Look at this crowd. It is phenomenal. The excitement is here in this race.
Number 3 there is Brenda Buckwalter. He is an American, and you won't believe what he's seeing here in Colorado. He doesn't come from Colorado, by the way. Number 75, Peter Weening, the orange Rabobank. He'll ride for Team Sky next year. Now, this is the race to the finish, and Andy Schleck has got the gap going up. The runner-up in the Tour de France. Is he free to fly to Breckenridge now? He's actually dropping our motorbike camera here. We can't keep up with him on the way down. He's taking a lot of risks. He knows he has to. Thankfully, the roads are dry.
Well, I tell you what, Ivan Rovny's done a pretty impressive job too there, Phil, because look at that. His acceleration over the final kilometre of that climb has split off a very serious group of around about 10 riders. Hovering there, feeling very, very happy indeed, of course, is Frank Schleck, brother of Andy, who is storming down this descent. And I wonder what the Highway Patrol cops think about how fast this man's going.
Well, looking briefly at that group, I think we still have the top 6 riders in the race all together at the moment, as Rovny now is trying to wipe out that breakaway as best he can, and that's going to be a tough call now. Andy Schleck trying to squeeze everything out of that bicycle in speed, as he can pedal no faster. He's got a free wheel as low as he can.
Well, Andy Schleck has got about a 20-second advantage over Ivan Basso, Tom Peterson and Lawrence Tindam. They've got to get themselves organized now and try and start to cooperate to try and pull him back into the fold. But Andy Schleck is hyper motivated here this afternoon. See the way he went round that corner, pulled himself across to the right-hand side, then whack, straight across the apex.
Yes, and Schleck now heads towards Towns. The peloton continues to descend down the mountain in a long, fast line, hitting speeds of 50 miles an hour before they break for that left-hand bend. Schleck now has his real chance of victory. Now let's see as we look down here from the peloton. It looks as though we might have Frank Schleck on the front there, trying to back them all off now. He doesn't want the boys to get back up to catch his brother Andy, who is charging down towards Breckenridge free as a bird. For the moment, we've lost the location of the remaining 3 riders of that breakaway, but they are still clear of the field. This is now up with the leader. Time trialing, the particular discipline of cycling he absolutely hates, but when he's being chased by 80 bike riders, he seems to ride a better time trial, doesn't he? Andy Schleck had this day planned out all week. From the moment he lost time, he earmarked the ride to Breckenridge to show everybody just what a good bike rider he really is. Well, we'll have to take a break, but when we come back, we will take Andy Schleck, or will we be taking the peloton to the finish? So rejoin us very shortly for the ride to Breckenridge. See you in a moment. Welcome back. He's still clear, but only just. He's looking for the 5 miles to go mark at the moment. The peloton, which has split, and George Hincapie is not in the split at the minute, 50 seconds behind. Levi Leiperheimer is in it, Christian van der Velde is in it, Infantino is in it, and if George Hincapie doesn't get back, then he'll lose his 5th place to Infantino, who's made steady progress since he came good in the time trial at Vale. A lonely man heading towards Breckenridge now. 5 miles to go, 8 kilometers for Andy Schleck as the cameras pull back on a helicopter. Little bit of a remnant of the breakaway spread along the road. As we then pull back, we're going to see the chase getting into the gun sights.
Well, that's around about 200-300 meters. Corresponds to around about 15 seconds. And they've still got a chance there because there's still quite a big gap back to the main peloton. But if they start to get themselves organized and they put a big chase on the front, they could pull this race all back together in the final kilometer.
It's not often you see Andy Schleck with a grimace of pain on his face. He's always had this habit of seemingly smiling, even when he's hurting in the mountains in the Tour de France. But this is his effort. This is the one he wanted so much to succeed, to win a stage. He lost his chance in the high mountains of the Rockies. He lost 4 minutes in one day, and gone with it was victory tomorrow in Denver. So he wanted to leave a mark on this race, and he still has a chance.
Well, he does, and you know, he spent nearly the majority of today's race all the way on Highway 9, all the way from Steamboat Springs into Breckenridge here, and the crowd are waiting to see something spectacular. We've seen spectacular racing out on the course. The gap, we're given a gap of around about still the 1 minute mark to the main field, so that will be good for Andy Schleck. But behind him, still hovering at 15 seconds, are the 3 chasers. Kim Anderson alongside him, just encouraging him to push that pain barrier a little bit further back, just to try and survive off the front end of these 3.
Probably speaking in the German language there, the Dane Kim Anderson to the Luxembourger Andy Schleck. He will have given him a complete breakdown of what is behind him. A couple of riders trying to reach him at the moment. He's time trialing at 24 miles an hour at the moment, which is about 38 kilometers an hour. He's riding along a pretty flat road now. There's no more hills today, but he stays at over 9,500 feet.
Well, he's still got, Phil, officially a gap of 1 minute and 15 seconds over the peloton, so it's all still possible for this man. But what happens next, it depends on whether or not he can survive in front of these 3 chasers: Evan Basso, Tom Peterson and Laurens ten Dam.
And it's Basso who's stretching these other 2 to the limits now, because Basso must have known that Schleck would have to make a move on that climb. He doesn't pack a sprint finish, and now it's up to Basso to try and draw himself back into the action.
Yeah, Tommy Peterson, sorry, there in second position. He was struggling a fraction just to come back to the wheel of Ivan Basso. They're getting themselves organized. Oh, there you can see not much more than 50 meters now.
And we're looking around 4 miles from the finish, so they're going to be back on his back wheel now. It's a difficult decision for Andy Schleck here. That was a huge effort he has made. They're still battling for the win. I think they'll stay away for the win, one of them, As soon as they pick up Andy, one of these three will just try to jump clear because they won't allow any recuperation here. But Andy has seen them. He's had no choice. He's backpedaling a little bit. They're going to come together. Watch out for a move. The most likely for me might be Tom Peterson.
Well, Tom Peterson, he will be looking for the victory for Garmin Cervelo this afternoon. They're back together. It was Tendam, though.
Tendam has gone straight away. One of them had to. Basso was ready. Basso has gone straight onto his wheel. Peterson may be having a hard time back there. He's having a job to close that gap down. Now they're all back together again because we're going to see this cat and mouse riding, because none of these guys are renowned sprint finishers. They will want to win by themselves, and Tendam has gone again.
Well, he won't give up. He saw he's got the gap, and he knows it's important now. Yes, Phil, he's not a great winner. Tendam, he's won 5 races throughout his career since he turned professional back in 2004, and he would love to get this one because Rabobank, although it's a Dutch team, they do have presence here in the United States, and they would love to get themselves a victory. Peterson, I think, is having a little bit of a hard time here. So too is Andy Schleck, because he put in a massive effort.
Yes, Peterson had to take up the running. Schleck has gone back into 4th place now as Lawrence Tendam. Remember, Tendam started this breakaway. He went away on his own up the Rabbit Ear Pass. He didn't win the climb, but he had to go again on the way down, and then he got the break.
Peterson
has cracked. I thought he was having difficulty, but he's going to give it one more shot.
Well, Andy Schleck was waiting and waiting and waiting to see whether this young man from the United States still had any power left in those legs after a long day in the saddle with some of the biggest names in the sport. It's not a surprise that he can't stick the pace anymore, but Andy Schleck, he's got that gut feeling that he's still got a chance of winning the race here this afternoon. I think Basso now is looking more likely to be the winner of the stage, but it's just a question of how it all goes down towards the finish line.
Watch Peterson come back here because they've slowed right down at the moment, and they're looking again, and Tendam is having another little go on the far side of the road. Now there's confusion. The 3 of the best bike riders in the world are together. Their speed there it is 22 miles an hour, and they're going uphill just now.
Yeah, they're uphill there, but once they get to the outskirts of Breckenridge, they'll take a right-hand bend, another right-hand bend, and it'll be downhill towards the finish. A very difficult sprint finish, and in fact, if you want to try and win it, you might as well take the risk of going for a very long sprint, because the downhill sprint is a little bit easier than when you're sprinting on the flat or into a headwind.
They're going to see a marker there that's going to say about 2 miles to go, I think, at the moment. I say 3 kilometers as we come up towards the marker. It is in fact 4 kilometers from the finish. Tendam has seen it. He's building up a head of steam again at the back, and he's going to dive through on the inside if he gets a chance, and there he goes. And he got Lawrence Tendam has gone again. Andy Schleck, how many more of these moves can he counter?
I tell you what, Phil, they can't mess around too much like this. They're looking over their shoulder, because these guys, their average speed, as you just mentioned, is starting to come down with these kind of tactics. And at 22 miles an hour, you can be certain the main field are doing 25 or 26 miles an hour. So that gap of still hovering on the 50-second mark can get wiped out in a mile or so.
Tipping down just a little bit now. Speed can increase down here. I thought with the cat and mouse tactics, Tom Peterson might have pedaled his way back in. How many times over the years, Paul, have we seen the 4th man catch them, drop them, and win the stage at this crucial moment?
It can be done. It has happened before, but they're still looking over there. They're judging the gap between themselves and Peterson, and of course, a little bit further back, they're looking to see whether or not they can see the shadow of the main field.
Well, Andy Schleck, his only real win, and there he is. He's come back on. Peterson has took advantage of the cat and mouse. He's probably a little bit surprised he's pedaled back into this race, but he has.
Well, he didn't give up. He was put under pressure because of the uphill part of that course there when we were going down to speeds of 19, 20. Tendam is going again.
Yet another attack by Lawrence Tendam. He's having the best season of his life. Now Andy has got to communicate the counter move. He's gone right across the road. Basso is there, off the back again goes Peterson, and now Tendam is beginning to think, how on earth do they keep nailing me back? The next one will come from Basso, I think.
Well, you remember a little while ago, Phil, we talked about how you work in a breakaway, and then everyone collaborates. It's the entente cordiale, but all of a sudden there's no friendship anymore now. This is all about a stage victory. This is all about the win. Ivan Basso looks over his shoulder. Where is Peterson now?
We're inside 2 miles to go now. The 3 riders still all together. The peloton themselves are also being marshaled, by the way. There they are by the Colombian riders. They're thinking of a sprint finish. They're not organized to catch these riders back because the anticipated attacks from Van Garderen or Van der Velde didn't come, so they're racing to finish in the same time, and that's the way it will be tonight, with Leipheimer left in the front of the overall classification. So we're talking of the win only now.
Well, I don't think that's an attack, actually. That's just a slight acceleration at the front end of the main field. It was easily marked by Lawrence ten Dam, and of course Andy Schleck, Phil, seems to have recovered quite a bit here. There's a little attack there coming from the front end of the peloton, which is being controlled by Oscar Sevilla of Gobazione de Antioquia.
There is no doubt that these four riders, each one wants to win this stage. It means an awful lot to them here. They've worked very hard for it. They're big-time bike riders around the world, but they want to win this one. And they're not going to give up. They're watching every move here, but they've got to be ever vigilant of the chase behind. We're inside a mile and a half from the finish.
And it's only 35 seconds the advantage of those four leaders. They cannot mess around now, Phil, at 2 kilometers to go, because if they start that cat and mouse tactics anymore, well, there's the front breaker, and there's the main field.
There's the main field right there. They could be wrapping it up at about 500 meters from the line here. It is all coming together into Breckenridge, despite the height, despite the climbs. Four riders together, and they won't know just how close that peloton is.
No, they won't, and they will not be able to mess around like this anymore. They've got around about a kilometre to go before they take the right-hand turn and another right-hand turn, and they start the downhill plunge. It's not a descent, but it is a little bit of a plunge down to the finish line, and that's what these guys have got to survive. This final little incline here really is putting the pain barrier too high for some.
Tom Peterson has dug deep into his suitcase today to find the strength for this one. He wants to finish ahead. The worst position you could finish is fourth. What a great result. He's been forced to lead now because the top three riders in the world, and there's a counter-attack, and somebody from Gorman-Cervelo shot through our camera lens.
Well, they certainly did. They've seen the possibility of pulling these riders all back together right just before the finishing line. They're only just around the corner.
They're on them.
And I really could, this is a bit strange, the tactics of Gorman-Cervelo. They've got a man in that leading group of four. Maybe they don't have any confidence in his chance of winning the stage here this afternoon, and they are actually chasing down their own man. It's all going to come back together.
This is a most incredible end to what has been a fantastic tour here over the week, and the USA Pro Cycling Challenge is coming into Breckenridge almost together. They are going to be caught. We have talked all day of one of these four winning, and I don't think they're going to make the line. They're going to be swept up by any sprinters that are left in that peloton, and we don't know who is left in that peloton. All we know is it's not the entire field.
Well, there they are. And Levi Leipheimer's right in a good position again there, just sitting in third place in the line of the main peloton as they start to zigzag all over the place. It's all over for the four leaders. That really is such a shame after all of the hard work they put in this afternoon. But, you know, this is a merciless sport.
A sharp sweeping left has brought their heads together here now. Now the sprinters, if they can find the strength, have got to get themselves organised very, very quickly in the dash for the line. I think Robert Foster is down there. It looks to me as though it could be being set up by the team, and certainly Liquigas are there. Daniel Oss is still there, and Viviani is still there. There's Oss in the centre of our picture. Dan, look at this now on the left of our picture. George Hincapie has made a burst for the line. As it's Viviani has broken for the line again. Viviani has done it. 2 out of 2. Paul, that is amazing. He got up there. He said yesterday when he won, I think perhaps tomorrow my teammate Daniela Oss will win. Oss again delivered Viviani to the line.
But you know, Phil, when you're a sprinter and you can get over a climb like that and you can see the finish line, then all of a sudden you forget about the pain, you forget about everything. You check out your brain at 300 meters to go, and he went deep to get that one. He was a little bit far back at one stage, but all of a sudden, bang, you've got that final kick for the line.
What an incredible result. The way those guys battled it out today, and it's not the whole field that has come in, but I think all the men that matter were in the group that picked up those four riders just on the kilometre to go. Elia Viviani has got 2 wins out of 2, and you know, this wasn't thought to be a pure sprinter stage today, but it's the way his turned out. There, number 21 is the battling Andy, and brother Frank on the right, no doubt the first to just say to him, well, you tried, it didn't work.
It didn't work, Phil, for about 700 meters. That's all it was. After the breakaway went on the first climb of the day, and he must have really believed he was going to get the victory this afternoon. But I take my hat off to a sprinter who can climb over Rabbit Ears Pass and stay in contact with the main field, survive over Swan Mountain, and then come charging out of the pack like this man in the green jersey here.
And you deliver your 6th win of the year at 22.5 years of age. He won't be 23 till next February, so he is a real super prospect for the future in the world of sprinting. What he's done in these last 2 days, Paul, is put himself in the selection for the Italian team in the World Championships, which is a sprinter's course. We could be looking at the future world champion.
Well, let's have a look at the finish once again. You can see the big organization. That's Daniel Oss is making the lead out there. They go around the corner and they're doing a phenomenal job. But look at the acceleration of Viviani. It looks as if he was going to get beaten here, but then all of a sudden he just finds that last little bit, and that's what a special sprinter can always do. And I tell you what, Liquigas 1st and 3rd. Congratulations.
No, absolutely tremendous result. That was Edouard Ortiz again sprinting well there. It just gets pipped by him on the right of our picture. And look at the face of Oss. Led his man out to win again. He's more excited than Viviani.
No, he certainly is. Just look at this. This is one of the new sprinters we're going to talk about over the next couple of seasons, because after all, Phil, that is win number 6. And yes, you talked a little bit about the World Championships being a course for the sprinters, but what about being a sprinter who's come to Colorado to prepare at altitude?
Good for him, absolutely right.
And by the way, let's not forget Levi Leipheimer will remain the leader in the overall standings, because he was locked pretty much in that field and will have the same time as everybody else.
Yes, he will. We've got a bit of Jaime Alberto Castaneda in the end. But the green jersey, the Smashburger green points jersey, well, he's increased his lead on that with maximum points today with his 2nd stage win. Daniel Oss hung on there for 3rd place, and Dennis Van Winden, who was in the early morning breakaway at the start of the Rabbit Ears Pass climb and then got dropped when he got caught, got back and finished in 4th place.
2 riders who are in the breakaway, riding away, a little rueful there. They can have a little chat about that. TJ Van Garderen will retain his high finish, his 3rd place overall, and also retain his lead in the Best Young Rider competition.
Yeah, it's going to be all about the battle of the bonuses, I think, tomorrow on the road to Denver. So as we pan around here, this beautiful area of Breckenridge, the riders are in now. And same as yesterday, Elia Viviani getting the victory, led out once more by his teammate. So he keeps his lead and increases it in the Smashburger points competition. Levi Leipheimer keeps yellow. We'll take our usual break now. We'll see you back here in just a few moments. Welcome back as we gaze upwards towards the Rockies here. These views from Colorado.com. They are higher than we've just finished at just under 10,000 feet in the main street in Breckenridge, where the sprinters had their day at the very end, catching up in the closing kilometers. Let's just have a look again while we wait for the presentations of the sprint. I mistakenly thought it was George Hincapie in the green jersey. We lost that to Viviani yesterday, and Viviani carries it over the line today in 1st place. His 2nd win in as many days, and there's United Healthcare final result. All the same time, of course, Jaime Alberto Castaneda was the man from Colombia in 2nd. He's got a sprinter coming out of Colombia. Daniela Oss in 3rd. Dennis Van Winden started the day in the breakaway and still found the legs to get 4th in the end. And another good ride coming in there from Jeff Lauder, BMC, in 5th place. TJ took part in the sprint. He wanted a bonus, but he got 6th in the end. Looking further down, Montiel, he was finishing in 8th, and Christian van der Velde also going for the bonuses, beaten by the sprinters. He crossed the line in 10th place. Hincapie only 11th, but Hincapie got back into the group at least, all same time. Levi in 14th place, so there's no change in the overall classification tonight. All right, let's have a look then at our Road ID ride of the day, and we've gone for Andy Schleck today because of the way he tried to win the race. You might think differently when it comes to your pick of the day, which we'll tell you about tomorrow, but it was a brilliant ride by Andy Schleck. I think he'd lay in bed all night deciding this is where he was going to project himself for the right bike rider he is. He broke away and he is. So that's our Road ID Rider of the Day. Remember, head on over to roadid.com/ride. You could win a shopping spree. And tell us your choice for your Road ID, and we'll tell you that at the top of our show tomorrow. Right, now let's see what we can show you now. The ski runs there and the many mountain bike trails which they cut here and really keep in superb condition for the mountain bikers riding around Breckenridge. And the crowd now are still extremely orderly, and it's again another example of a huge crowd here. Racing really came to the state of Colorado 35 years ago with the famous Celestial Seasons Red Zinger, and that was handed over to the Coors Beer Company, and that lasted into the late 80s, and there's been no big time racing until this week here in Colorado. So as we see the crowds being marshaled there, I can hear that Bob Roll is now talking with Andy Schleck. Let's go down.
Andy, a very long breakaway and then a very courageous effort in the final miles of the stage. Take us through your thinking the last few miles of the race.
Well, for me it was, I think for the group, right? So with us was obviously that you're going to attack in the last climb, and that's my strength. But it was not very long the climb, so I could not get more than 15 seconds out of it. And then in the end, we had this dead end straight into the finish town, and they were riding 3 behind me. So the moment they catch me, I was like, yeah, for me, I had to gamble, and I had in my head the idea, I think I could have won the sprint of the group, but you know, I didn't want to be, there was no option, or I win or I don't care, you know. If I had that in my mind, I want to win, I don't want to be second or third. So Ivan and me, we had the same thoughts, and that's why he catched us like 300 meters to go. And as always said, you know, when you are out there for 180 kilometers and then they catch you in the last 300 meters of the race.
You gambled for the loss, and this time maybe didn't go the right way.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. That's like that in life. And I mean, I want to win the stage, and actually I picked yesterday and today. I thought that could be a chance, and I took the chance today, but didn't work. I might try tomorrow, or I have to come back for next year.
Okay, best of luck.
Thank you.
Well done, well said, Andy Schleck there, as the riders now that were dropped on Rabbit Ears Pass are still coming in, including sprinter there on the front left of Freddie Rodriguez. Let's go down to the podium, I think. I can see him over there. There he is. Levi Leipheimer all set on the podium now, Paul, to receive his yellow jersey. He's defended it again. The race has been on the road for 6 days. This man has held yellow for 4 of them. So as he continues now to pull on his Quiznos yellow jersey again, he's won the opening stage 1. That was the day after the prologue. He won the time trial in Aspen. Now he's got one more day to come, and Leipheimer still leads this race. No change at all in the overall standings.
Now just 11 seconds lead over Christian van der Velde. It's going to be nail-biting for Levi Leipheimer tomorrow to ride around Denver, but it'd be rather nail-biting to go over that first climb of the day, because again the organisers putting a climb right at the very start, Lookout Mountain.
And it's got to be an absolute ripper when they climb Lookout Mountain tomorrow. Get rid of everybody and let the leaders fight it out down into the city of Denver, the state capital in Colorado. And Ashley and Rachel are planting their kisses again firmly on the side of the man who's worn yellow now for 3 days. The overall standings, the United Healthcare here bring them to us: 11, 17, 21, 53. No change whatsoever overall. And there they are for you. Go further down. Infantino at one stage had got himself up to 5th there, but George Hincapie fought his way back. Cadell Evans holds 7. There's no change in any of the top 10 places overall at the end of the day. So these boys didn't miss out in the split up the start climb, and they hung on in there, racing right across towards Breckenridge over Swan Mountain. There's mountains everywhere here, and they're all abounding and keeping the little town of Breckenridge nice and cozy, especially in the winter when the snow falls. They can come at any time, the snow, I'm told, here on the high mountains. Now Bob Roll has just caught Levi Leipheimer coming off the podium, so let's go back to Bob.
Levi, a very tough defensive of the jersey today. Take us through the miles, especially with the high-powered breakaway with Yvonne Basso and Andy Schleck.
You know, today was it was more difficult than we had imagined. The first climb, Rabbit Ears Pass out of Steamboat, was long and hard, and a lot of people suffered. And the groups, there was groups everywhere, and it took another hour for everything to regroup. And then there was a strong breakaway, like you said, with Andy and Yvonne, but they were 6 minutes behind, so that gave us some breathing room. And you know what? The team was unbelievable today. I mean, really, they're stepping up, they're digging deep, and you know, we got a young team here, but they're really rising to the occasion. And the most heard remark I had after the stage today was, "Man, your team was awesome." So they really deserve a lot of recognition for what they did today.
Tomorrow, a tough climb to start the stage, similar to today. Do you expect some attacks to go off early in tomorrow's stage?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure that they're going to hit us hard on Lookout Mountain. You know, guys like Tom Danielson, who lives in Boulder, I'm sure he's going to try and do something. So we're going to have to, you know, do it again tomorrow. But hopefully, you know, Liquid Gas, they'll be motivated again for another sprint into Denver. That's what I hope.
Well, congratulations on another day in yellow, and best of luck on tomorrow's stage.
Thank you.
Just one day to go now, as well he knows, so he'll be feeling as though he's done enough now. We'll see tomorrow. Back into the podium here now as the presentations go on here for the placings. This is the second place ride today. We've got a sprinter now, Paul, on our books too, as Castaneda steps up onto the podium with Viviani.
He must have thought he was going to get that there, because he was in the right place at the right time, just ahead of everybody else, and then all of a sudden the whoosh of speed came by him when Viviani kicked into overdrive.
Now, well, let's wait for we get to see the third man go up there. It'll be Daniela Oss, and I think there'll be a special congratulations there from Viviani to the man that's led him to his second victory in as many days. I think this guy is more delighted by just leading Viviani to the line than actually getting placed.
No, he is a great team helper. He's got a very fast turn of speed himself, but the thing to be a great sprinter, a little bit like Mark Cavendish, you've got to be able to produce that second acceleration. Yeah, it's fine to get yourself up to 60 kilometers an hour or 40 miles an hour. It's the second kick that takes you up to almost 50 miles an hour that makes you a top-end sprinter, and that, I think, is what we're seeing from Elio Viviani. And again, Phil, just a reminder, 22 years of age.
Yes, so there's the three boys and the youth and the future of world cycling, all saluting the crowd here in Main Street in Breckenridge, because they're all youngsters and they've all got a long career ahead of themselves. We'll be seeing them in the Tour de France, I'm sure, in the years to come. That was, in the end, a day for the sprinters. With 300 meters to go, it wasn't.
No, 300 meters, 700 meters to go, it was the breakaway were going to succeed. It really is a difficult one to judge, and I tell you what, there was a lot of chasing went on there towards the end, and United Healthcare managed to do a good job to keep their man Rory Sutherland right there in the mix.
Yep, and George Hincapie got back there as well. Seeing all the Norse mythology coming out here. Ula is all the hats they're wearing here representing the god of thunder, because he's had a big part to play in the history of Breckenridge. These are the leaders' jerseys here, the winners' jerseys in the past. Now just seeing what comes up next. The King of the Mountains is next. And Pedradza keeps the lead. He's got one climb tomorrow to defend it. He didn't get up amongst it on the climb of Rabbit Ears Pass, but the men that he wasn't worried about did. So they took the points that the others might have wanted. So he is a typical climber, isn't he? He's so small and slight. He dances up those hills. I don't think he liked the high-speed tempo, the way they shot up at Rabbit Ears Pass, though. He did go over the top in the main group of about 30 riders, but he was in no mood to contest the points at the top.
No, but he did contest the points at the end, Phil, when we got to the summit of Swan Mountain. I'm not sure if he got any points, but he was not too far away from the top 10 on that occasion. And all he's got to do tomorrow is try and defend it once we go to the top of Lookout Mountain.
Well, they had the best place in the house to watch the race come in. The Metal Roos there, ready to take care of the snow when it falls in the winter. So the standings in the Nissan King of the Mountain then. Pedradza keeps it, 6 points clear. Montiel, who did ride well today up the mountain, is in second place. So that competition hasn't ended yet. Lookout Mountain will decide it tomorrow.
No, but this man, I think, is setting himself some serious foundations to win the Smashburger points classification, because I would say, Phil, he is turning out to be the sprinter of the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. I'm not sure who in the field can actually challenge this man, and you'll see a lot of work done tomorrow by Team Liquigas Cannondale to try and get this man win number 3.
On the right there, Rick Shadner there from Quiznos, who's done everything in his power to make sure this race has happened here in Colorado, including providing the money for the event. So everybody owes him a great deal of thanks.
Well, the overall standings in that competition, Phil, Elia Viviani has 38 points, down to TJ Van Garden's 22, and then the next 3 riders, Leipheimer, Hincapie and Castaneda, all with 17.
So the Smashburger green jersey goes across the line in first place today. Tomorrow that competition will be decided, if it hasn't already been decided now. And Viviani tomorrow will be on a hat-trick, 3 wins straight, because tomorrow we will say it's more for the sprinter. Big cheers for TJ Van Garden here against the Sheets Best Young Rider jersey. No one else has worn this jersey. He's got a suitcase full of them for the whole week. He had the yellow for one day as well. Now tomorrow he's still going to go out looking for a few seconds to win both competitions.
And again, Phil, I think we should just remind ourselves that he too is only 23 years of age. He was 23 this month, in fact, when he was racing in the Tour of Utah. He'll be a little bit disappointed that he wasn't able to get clear on Swan Mountain, but should still be satisfied, because he is in 3rd place overall at 17 seconds, and he leads that competition. But look at the gap he's got in that competition over Eduardo Beltran, 3 minutes and 18 seconds, and then 5:38 back to Tobias Ludvigsen.
He's never been challenged in the Sheets Best Young Rider competition at all. 3:18 is his gap. He won't be catching him up so far behind. There's the wonderful spin around the crowd for you, as now huge cheer. Listen to the cheer here. They love him.
No, I think that's a very good choice for Andy Schleck to get that. He made a brilliant move on Swan Mountain. He had to make that move there, because otherwise that breakaway would have been swept up before. He did prolong the agony quite a bit, though, because he prolonged that agony right up until 700 meters to go. And he put in a great ride today.
He did, and he deserves to wear that Exergy Most Aggressive Riders jersey. He won't wear it tomorrow. It's only for a presentation jersey. Here come the girls again, just to make sure they've got their man branded, for as they all do in Colorado.
Yeah, well, that's part of the ranching background, I suspect. Andy Schleck, I think he'd be a little bit disappointed with that today, but he put in a great ride, and it was good to see riders like Basso, Lawrence Tendam and Andy Schleck out on the Posse Trail, trying to get themselves that victory. And we do now know that Andy Schleck, Phil, was in this bike race.
And all of the leaders come onto the podium for a final wave to the crowd. And not least led by Levi in the middle, Pedranza on the left of our picture, the Nissan King of the Mountains, TJ as the Sheets Best Young Rider. As we can now just take a quick look at tomorrow, the last map we'll show you on this year's inaugural Pro Cycling Challenge. It's not an easy route, but it does have a flat finish tomorrow. So let's have a look at the Radio Shack map. We will be heading out over Lookout Mountain. We go to Golden. I know the Golden are really looking forward to the start of this race tomorrow. They're all set to go as we head out along Washington Avenue. A little lap of the town first, back through Golden, then around the town again. Now it's time to get out on the road over Lookout Mountain pretty early on along Route 40 now. As we continue down, just skirting Golden again. Then we kiss Golden goodbye as we then turn east, heading into Denver itself. It's going to be a terrific day out. Don't forget, our re-air tonight will come at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember the new time. We'll bring you Stage 6 Golden to Denver, and that is on NBC. So enjoy that too. George Hincapie signing out now. And also, for a full schedule and daily highlights, do log on to NBCSports.com. And for the tour tracker, remember to go to USProCyclingChallenge.com. Our clothing has been provided by Pelazumi. Well done in the end to Elia Viviani. 2 out of 2 for him. Stay tuned now, because up next on Versus, it's IndyCar Racing Qualifying Series, the Indy Grand Prix from Sonoma County in California. From us all here in Breckenridge, until tomorrow, it's goodbye.